So like I promised, I'm going to continue this video, with Senator Biden, who wants to become the president now, and of course, with all these black folks down there in North Carolina, South Carolina, Rep. Cleburne, who actually endorsed, Joe Biden and gave him all the propulsion that he has right now in the race. I just want to say he's a sellout. Clyburn is a sellout. Because if he really cared about the interests of black people, there's no way he was going to support Biden. But continue to listen to this, because this is just another aspect of some of the bills that Joe Biden supported. And this has to do with, consumer debt, student debt, all that stuff. Listen to this.
Industry, notably helping push through a 2005 bill that made it harder for consumers to declare bankruptcy. According to the New York Times, the credit card issuer MBNA was Biden's top donor from 1989 to 2010. One of his key legislative achievements was the 2005 bankruptcy law that made it harder to reduce student debt, preventing most Americans from claiming bankruptcy.
You hear that, black folks? Who is affected most with some of these laws? I mean, a lot of white folks can afford to, pay college fees, for their kids. Yes, some do still take loans, but black folks, come on now, listen to this. This man, Joe Biden, was against, some of you guys are actually suffering from this today. Back in the day there, you were not able to, file, when you file bankruptcies to be able to, claim, get those financial debts, taken care of. Joe Biden fought against that. And who were affected the most, who were disenfranchised the most? It was black people. Listen.
Protections for private student loans. Well, to continue our conversation on Joe Biden and his possible presidential run, we go to Washington, D.C. to talk with Washington editor for Harper's Magazine, Andrew Coburn. His latest piece for Harper's headlined, No Joe, Joe Biden's Disastrous Legislative Legacy. Thank you for staying for part two of this conversation, Andrew. So let's talk more deeply about the crime bill and Senator Joe Biden's involvement in that. And
please, I want you guys to listen to this. Share this video with all the folks down there, all over, every black person in America. Share with this. It's important to call people out on their records. That's all it is. The facts speak for itself. I don't know how black folks, in America today, just because things are better for you in your little corner, you become so conservative and you've forgotten everything. You don't care about your people anymore. Care about yourselves, black people in America. Listen to this.
Where you see his trajectory today?
Well, it was his signature issue really throughout the 1980s. As I mentioned earlier, he teamed up with Strom Thurmond, this sort of very aged old segregationist from South Carolina.
Thurmond, who was a segregationist. These are the people Joe Biden would work with. Oh, well, I can get across the aisle and, talk to people and get things done. I can go across the aisle. But listen.
Really the face of the face of everything that we'd been trying to get away from. And it was really, Joe, he thought this was going to really propel him to the top. As he said to a former aide who told me, I think it was around about 1990, the aide was telling me how Joe was always trying to hold hearings on crime and drugs. Every week, his poor staff had to sit around dreaming up a new excuse for a hearing on crime and drugs. And as Biden said to his staffer, he said, when people hear the words crime and drugs, I want them to think Joe Biden. I mean, he was really running, like George Bush Sr. on a sort of Willie Horton. It's astonishing that this man, this politician, should be considered a front runner for the Democrats.
Now, could he simply say he's changed since then, that he's completely reversed his position?
Well, not really. I mean, he's flubbed on a few things. I mean, he changed, he's apologized for a few things. Not, I note, on busing. Not on choice, where his record is truly terrible. He has said that he's kind of sorry, a bit sorry about his crime legislation, and he said he's sorry he voted for the financial deregulation, the key repeal of Glass-Steagall. He said that was the worst vote ever of his entire career, there's a lot of competition there. So, but even if, just thinking of his political viability, supposing he has to go through the campaign saying, well, I'm sorry I did what I did on busing. I'm sorry I did what I did on crime. I'm sorry I did what I did on banks. He's going to sound like another shifty politician.
And on Anita Hill, I'm sorry what I did
on
on
Anita Hill. I'm really sorry about Anita Hill. He's expressed some regret for that, I should admit. So, his record has very little that's good about it. He has this sort of shtick of being the friend of the working man, but, he's been much better and closer friend of the financial industry.